Senator Marshall.
Well, thank you so much, and good morning, everybody. I want to thank our subcommittee chairman, Bennett, and his staff, and my staff for holding today's hearing and all the work they've done. I want to thank all the witnesses sincerely for making the trip out here, taking several days out of your daily life as well. And again, I'm honored, of course, to have our ranking member, Bozeman, and all my colleagues here, Senator Tuberville, for coming as well. We appreciate that. It's been almost a decade since drought was a key focus on the Ag Committee hearing. And I'm hoping we can gain some real insight today on how to address the challenges we're facing out west with regards to drought, wildfires, and conservation. Senator Bennett, the western third of Kansas, the eastern third of Colorado look a lot alike these days, and they always have. And you mentioned the Colorado River, but the Arkansas River is very important to us. Now, the Arkansas River is spelled like Arkansas, but we pronounce it Arkansas River as it goes out of Colorado through Kansas. I'm not sure what the Okies call it. They call it Arkansas. I thought they might. But I've enjoyed fly fishing in the headwaters of the Arkansas River. The mayfly hatchery up there is incredible, but much of the riverbed is dry.
My wife is from Arkansas. And her grandfather told me a story of coming to Colorado when he was a lawyer, a railroad lawyer of some kind, coming to Colorado and having the Arkansas River between his legs at the headwaters. He just couldn't believe it, because by the time it got to Arkansas, obviously it was much, much wider than that.
But unfortunately, through much of Kansas, it's literally a four-wheeler trail ride for us. In 1935, after surveying the aftermath of the worst dust storm ever recorded in North America, Robert Geiger was an Associated Press reporter from Washington, D.C. He summed up the life in our region with the quote from him, 3 little words achingly familiar on a Western farmer's tongue: rural life in the Dust Bowl of the continent, if it rains. If it rains. This is not new, but it's certainly exacerbated. Even today, these 3 words dictate entire livelihoods on the high plains, especially in our home state of Kansas and Colorado. Just last month, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration deemed April as one of the driest months on the record in the last 100 years. Currently, over half of Kansas is designated moderate drought, and over a third of the state is designated as severe, again, as the chairman commented already. So much of Kansas and Colorado in those extreme drought conditions. Just last week, the Topeka Capital Journal reported that the projected wheat yield in Kansas is expected to drop by over 100 million bushels. I think that's about 30% of our average yield is going to be impacted by drought this year. That's a value of over $1 billion to the state of Kansas. This lack of rain not only hurts farm production at its most crucial time, but it also adversely affects ranchers and families who fall victim to raging wildfires. And yes, we've had horrible prairie fires the past several years. This lack of rain hurts farm production at its most crucial time, but it adversely affects farmers and ranchers who fall victim to raging wildfires across the plains, incurring hundreds of thousands of dollars, millions of dollars lost in assets, and at the worst, the lives of homes and the personal lives, as well as genetics of cattle they'll never be able to replace. Many of our friends in the private sector and our region's universities have been working on solutions in drought resiliency and fire mitigation, and I'm excited to hear from them. I hope this hearing will yield positive results for the future of the Western United States. Thank you, and I yield back.
Thank you very much, Senator Marshall. I appreciate that, and it's nice to have a neighbor, actually, as the ranking member, because we have a lot in common. Senator Bozeman, do you have anything that you'd like to? Okay. So I'm now going to introduce the 3 witnesses that I invited to testify at today's hearing, and then Senator Marshall will introduce his 2 from the Arkansas River Valley. These are all leading experts in their fields with decades of experience in the sustainable management of our water, from snowpack to forest, streams, and wetlands. All of them have spent years partnering with diverse groups across the West to manage our water resources in a way that preserves our